Yes.
dated 6/11/2020.
Yes. They say it is this GOMS which is the answer to our contention, because they say like this, my lords. Their answer is, as per clause 5 of that GOMS, of this GOMS, is contrary to what that GOMS says, is actually superseded.
Please read 5.
Five.
To reserve
I'm
10%
glad my
or
lords are referring to that. They say that's the answer to your contention.
to reserve 10%
That's
or
all I'm
1000
obliged to
units,
do.
whichever is less,
Yes.
per assembly constituency to
Yes.
local beneficiaries who wherever works are taken up outside GHMC limits.
That's all they say. They say, look here, you are referring to that geo. That geo has been superseded by this geo. This geo says.
What is the date of list?
Yes, ma'am.
Page number 98 list
Page number 98.
of the writ petition list.
Date could not get, my lords, but it was date.
Before GOMS number 3 or after GOMS number 3?
After GOMS number 3.
3 only.
Yes, yes.
Right.
This GOMS after
Date is not there.
But the short answer to that, my lords, is that when such submissions are made, the GOMS which is seeking to modify or supersede or replace the earlier geo, the intention must be stated in the geo itself.
In which GOMS number 3?
Which they are saying is the answer to the geo.
Please read page
see,
18.
Yes, madam. Please see page 18 and the answers will be there. Please notice this.
In continuation of
In
GOs.
continuation, yes, madam. In continuation of GOMS first and second read above, and in the, now please notice in the references, what are the geos which are being referred?
10 and 12.
10 and 12. So 10 is the main mother geo, my lords, and our contention is that when you say you are in continuation.
No, why don't you read this and we'll go to that little later.
Yes, I'm sorry. In continuation of geo first and second read above, and in the circumstances reported by the MD Telangana State Housing Corporation, in their letter third read above, government after careful examination, in hereby continuation and additional, please notice these two words, hereby issue the following additional guidelines for implementation of 2 BHK housing program in GHMC area. In GHMC area, that lordships will see overall cost composition. Now, please notice this. It is consistent. The overall cost composition shall be followed in selection of benefit as mentioned in GOMS number 10, 1510-2015 of Housing Department, considering GHMC as GHMC area as one unit. In fact, this GOMS may be referring only to GHMC area, because the operative portion or the preamble of this geo, my lords, if I may call that, is with regard to GHMC area alone. Now, and please notice how it is stated, my lords, everywhere it is so. And when you use the word continuation, it cannot be in contradiction or supersession or substitution.
So the sum and substance of your argument is GOMS number 3 dated 6/11/2020 is in with regard to GHMC limits.
Is with us.
This is not to rural areas.
And even if it is outside GHMC limits, which clause 5 appears to suggest, it cannot be contra GOMS 10.
Then
it can only be complementary.
Then there is no challenge to GOMS number 3.
There is no challenge, because my contention is like this, my lord. When they use the word in continuation, my contention is, unlike their interpretation, my contention is based upon literal interpretation of the geo. My contention is, my lords, when you say continuation, it can only be complementary. It cannot be supersession. If it is complementary, there is no question of challenge.
So now you are seeking a consequential direction to second respondent, Managing Director, Telangana State Housing Corporation, to allot 2-bedroom houses to the petitioners who are locals of Thukuguda municipality, in terms of GOMS number 10. That is the sum and substance of the writ petition.
And
there are 14 petitioners.
Yes.
According to you, all 14 of them are eligible. Anything more?
That's because what they're saying is, our duty as state, when we came about with this welfare scheme, has been explained by this geo. Now, lordships will hearken to the fact that the housing board cannot escape their liability by giving contradictory geos. It is not even our submission like that. But the interpretation of the state's contention will mean plainly that, and that can never be the case. The state will always be consistent in its stand with, and that is my lords, a presumption which your lordships take not only with regard to statutory interpretation when your lordships see challenge to provisions, but also in the manner in which the state conducts itself, especially with regard to social welfare schemes. If that interpretation is correct, merely stating this clause 5 and saying that my obligation insofar as the petitioners are concerned has been met if I do this may not be correct. This is our primary contention. Now, and also, my lords, please notice how this geo is framed. It is not happily worded. There is a confusion as to whether the preamble of the geo refers only to GHMC limits, because it is saying in that the following additional guidelines for implementation of 2 BHK in GHMC area.
Correct. Where is the confusion?
It clause 5. It is talking about outside GHMC limits. So my contention, my lords, is statutory interpretation. If this whole geo is read as a whole, the geo constituents cannot be contrary to the preamble. The preamble is stating that these guidelines are with regard to this alone, the GHMC limits. And if this is so, this needs to be ignored by this honorable court, because they themselves are saying, I am giving additional guidelines for within GHMC limits. I am not going to go beyond the GHMC. They should have said with regard to 5 also. If they don't say that, then what are they actually saying?
See, according to you,
My lord.
preamble is contrary to clause number 5. Next.
Yes, ma'am. So therefore, my lords, upon a plain reading of this list and the GOMS number 10, which is and GOMS number 3, which is in continuation of GOMS 10.
Correct.
The state stand is totally inconsistent. It is not, and my lords, they are not only violating the requirement of persons within the assembly. That is one thing. But my lords, lordship will also notice they are also violating the requirement of the social composition, for which, my lords, it's not we who are submitting to the court. The petitioner may have some.
I've seen that.
Yes, my lord. And one more thing your lordship will notice is that the interim order which has been granted.
The interim order will go through, Mr.
Yes. But only one portion of that interim order, and how the honorable court dealt with clause 5, I just wanted to show.
Para 3.
Yes,
page 3.
I have taken, yes, ma'am, page number.
Reading
Yes.
of clause 5
Yes,
indicate that reserving 10% or 1,000 units, whichever is less, in an assembly constituency is prescribed for local beneficiaries, so and so. Eligibility criteria and selection as specified. Right.
If your lordship